What's up, guys? My name's AJ. I'm a content creator, filmmaker, videographer, whatever you want to call it, right? And today I want to talk about, or at least I want to answer a question that I get so much, which is how do I color grade? Honestly, it's a question I've answered a lot too. I sell my own LUT pack. If you guys didn't know, I've made a couple videos on that. You're free to buy it. If you don't want to buy it, that's cool too. I'm going to show you guys how I learned how to color grade, and that was with a program called Enhancer. So before I was able to create my own LUTs and kind of understand colors and stuff like that, and not to say I'm a professional colorist or a color grader or anything like that, because I'm not. There's so much that I don't know still, but I think I'm pretty good at making my content look good, right? And that's all that I'm really concerned with. When I didn't know too much about color grading, one of my friends recommended Enhancer. And so I downloaded it and kind of learned everything, the ins and outs through that. And today I'm going to show you guys exactly how to do that with that software, right? This video is not sponsored, by the way. I'm not getting paid for this. This is just an honest review of Enhancer. It helped me out so much when I was still starting out. So I want to, relay that information over to you guys as well. I will be fully transparent. If you do like what you see, they are giving me a little bit of a kickback. So I'm going to put a code down in the description so that you can grab Enhancer for a discount, right? So let's get straight into it. First, I want to go over the gear that I use, right? So Enhancer, honestly, you could use it with so many different cameras. It doesn't really matter. But personally, most of my content is shot with Sony. So either the Sony FX30, the Sony FX3, and the Sony FX6. I'm a big Sony nerd, right? I'm always shooting an S-Log3, which I think Enhancer does a super good job at recognizing and color grading. Right now, I'm shooting on a 16mm Sigma lens, and I'm editing on Premiere Pro on a MacBook. So I know I'm not on DaVinci yet. I know I should get on it. Everybody tells me, but I just haven't taken the time to learn it yet, right? So anyways, I will be fully transparent though, guys. I don't always use Enhancer anymore. I used to when I first started off, but now that I have my own LUT pack with a couple different LUTs, I just use that. I'm going to put that in the description as well. Now, whichever one you guys want to go and purchase, doesn't matter to me. I just want you guys to have this information so that you guys can make beautiful looking content too, right? So now if you do want to buy my LUT, much love. If you don't want to buy my LUT, much love. If you want to just purchase Enhancer instead, much love. It doesn't matter to me, guys. The good thing with both of them is that the colors are super cinematic. And I think a lot of people come to me and say, oh, how do you make your content look like that? How do you make your content cinematic? When 90% of the heavy lifting is done by the colors, right? If you can have the right colors and the right profiles, it just creates that feeling of a cinematic, right? So that's exactly what I want to show you guys in this video. And if you like what you see, all the links will be in the description, guys. Anyway, I love you guys and enjoy. All right, guys. So the thing with Enhancer is that it's going to make it super simple for you to basically just get all the tools you need to make a beautiful color grade, right? So this right here is the color grade's already done. Maybe I should just show it to you guys real quick. So this is what it's going to look like. And I'm just going to show you guys how I get to this in basically 5 minutes. So boom, let's put a blank adjustment layer. Right now, this is the adjustment layer and there's nothing on it, right? All of this footage right here is an S-Log3 shot on the Sony FX30. So where I'm gonna go is to the effects panel and type in Enhancer. As you can see, I already did, and then double click it. So it's gonna add it to the adjustment layer. And now I have all the options right here that Enhancer provides for me. I'm not gonna lie, I really only use about like 5 or 6 of these settings. The other ones I don't touch, simply because I just don't need it, right? I'm not trying to, color grade an entire film. I'm just making content. So first is the input, right? So you go in here and you can choose the exact camera that you use to film. So I'm gonna scroll down to Sony in my case. Then I'm gonna close the input because I don't really touch anything else unless I need to, like bumping up the exposure or anything. But a lot of the times I'll just go over to the Lumetri color tab and just do it there instead. So I picked the camera. I'm gonna go down to film now. The film I've been using, they have a bunch of different profiles, but the one I like to use most of the time is the Fuji Eterna Vivid 500. I don't know why, I just think it looks really good. I think when you get the colors right and everything, it just looks really cinematic. Then I'm gonna go to Film Developer, hit Enabled, and one thing I usually do is bump up the saturation, right? Because I do like those colors in there. So I'm gonna bump up the color boost, which is essentially just saturation. Color boost, I like using it a lot in Enhancer because I feel like it does it in a really natural way, right? Because a lot of times you see people boost up their saturation and it just looks like it just looks too much. It looks like you deep fried the image, right? So I think Dehancer does a really, really nice job of making the color boost look very, very natural, even when you bump it up all the way, which I like to do a lot of the times. So in this case, I'm gonna bump it up all the way and leave it there. Film compression is something I love to use. Basically what it does is it compresses the super bright areas of your image and the super dark areas of your image, and kind of makes it so that everything is kind of closer together. I don't know how to explain it. Like I said, I'm not a colorist, but it basically removes the super, super bright and dark image or dark spots from your image, right? And it makes it look like an old film camera. Honestly, this clip right here doesn't have too many like blown out highlights or super dark shadows, so it doesn't make too much of a difference, but regardless, I always have it on. Expand, I don't really do too much here. I have it enabled. I don't think it really makes a difference. No, it doesn't. Print. Now, this is where you can kind of get really creative with how you want to look, right? I typically go Kodak, I don't know, Endura glossy paper. That's the one I usually go with, and it kind of darkens up the image, but it also pops the colors a little bit even more. So I'll just do that and then leave everything else. I don't really touch exposure and the target whites and everything in here. That I like to edit here in the Lumetri color tab. I don't know why. I think I probably did it the first time I ever used it, and now I'm just a creature of habit. But I'm sure it still looks good if you bumped up the exposure here instead. But anyway, that's done. I don't touch color head. I always turn off film grain. I'm not the biggest fan of film grain, but you know, I know a lot of people are, which Dehancer makes it super, super convenient that they just have like a film grain setting here. You have so many different profiles to choose from too. I just don't really love film grain. I don't like to use it. Halation. Halation is the big money maker, right? It's the thing that I feel like makes color grades look super, super appealing. I think it's what attracts a lot of people to different color grades, even though it's so subtle. And what it does is just adds a red glow to your highlights, right? Honestly, you probably can't even tell the difference too much right now, but unless I do 16 remjet. So if I do 16 millimeter with no remjet, you can see like it completely like adds that red glow all over the image. I don't like to do it too much like that. I like to go 35 millimeter, or sometimes depending on the image, I might go 16. But here we'll just go 16, just for the case of the video. So 16 millimeter, then that's done. Bloom. I like to bloom my highlights. I know a lot of people don't, but I think it really softens up the image, makes the highlights look really, really nice and just glowy, right? So I'll do that here. I'll go between 16 millimeter and 35 millimeter. You see, for this image, it doesn't make too much of a difference once again, but it's just a force of habit, right? I do the same thing for 99% of my grades. Then film damage. Like I said, I don't love grain, but I love film damage. And film damage is basically those little specks you see sometimes on like super old film cameras, right? Let me do at 8 millimeters so you guys can see it. So it's all those little specks you see throughout the, oh snap, sorry guys. All the little specks you see throughout the image, that's what film damage is. I don't like to do it at 8 millimeter, that's a little heavy, but I will do it at 35 or 16 millimeter. For this case, I'll do it at 16. I just think it looks really good, and I think it looks better than grain. I don't know why, but I don't love grain, but I love film damage. But anyway, after that, I don't touch film breath. I don't touch gate weave. Gate weave is actually, I don't even know what gate weave is. I don't touch overscan. Overscan basically adds like overlays to your image and makes it like, look, I'll show you guys. Adds different, it makes it look like Super 35 or Super 16 or anything like that, but I don't really use it too much or ever for the most part. So I disabled it. And where was I? Vignette, I don't use. Monitor, I don't use. Any of this stuff I don't use. So honestly, once I hit film damage, I'm done. Like I said, guys, I really only use a couple of the settings here in Dehancer, and then I'll go over to the Lumetri color tab for the adjustment layer and might bump it up to maybe like 0.5. Maybe that's a little much, maybe 0.3. Yeah, I think that looks good. And then that's it. So this is the second clip. This is honestly one of the clips that I get asked about the most. So I figured it'd be cool to use this clip. And I just want to show you guys how when I color grade one clip, for the most part, I use that same color across all my footage. I might tweak some things like white balance or exposure adjustments and stuff, but most of the time I don't need to, right? Once I get the first color grade and once I really like the colors, I can use that for the rest of my footage or the rest of my content for that day. So I really just copy and pasted this adjustment layer here onto this clip right here. It's toggled off right now just so you guys can see the difference. This was on the FX30, S-Log3 once again, and I just copy and pasted this same exact adjustment layer with everything I just showed you guys, and this is what it turns out to be. So yeah, you guys can see it's essentially the same exact thing. Once you get that one color grade that you really love, it's super simple to kind of just transfer it across all your footage. So the only thing with this is I think the colors are just a little bit too exaggerated. So I would come down here to film developer and turn down the color boost a tiny bit at 93. And then I would come down also to the halation because I think it's a little much on this clip and put it to 35. As you can see, you guys can see the difference now a lot more with the halation here. This is no halation, this is with halation, no halation, with halation. This is 16 millimeter. Like I said though, I'm gonna put this one at 35 because I think that's good enough. There's a lot of color in this clip, so I don't wanna make it too deep fried. Like I said, no film grain, I don't touch color head. Print is the same at Kodak and Glossy paper. Expand, I haven't touched either. I just have the exposure bumped a tiny bit here to 0.5. But even if I turned it off, it still looks really good, right? This clip right here doesn't really need that extra bit of exposure, especially with the dark shadows and the silhouette shots. So it's all based on what look you're going for, right? These are just the looks that I love and the things that I like to put in my content. And if you're watching this, I'm assuming that you're very similar, right? And yeah, that's essentially it, guys. So once again, this is the same color grade that I used on the last clip on this clip. Like I said, this video is not sponsored. I'm not getting paid for this at all. It's completely honest. And if you do like what you see and want to purchase the answer, I'll be transparent. They are getting me a little bit of a kickback. So I'll put the discount code in the description below. I'll probably put it on the screen too. And yeah. All right, boom. So that's how I color grade my footage, or at least that's how I used to color grade my footage. I use my LUT, like I said, 99% of the time now. I will go to Dehancer sometimes to use just their film damage or something like that. But either way, I think both products are super worth it. I think both products will make your content look amazing. And I think both products will make it super simple for you to create content that you're proud of. So thank you guys for tuning in. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Follow me on TikTok, follow me on Instagram, and let me know any questions you guys have below. If you guys wanted me to go through my process, my filming process, if you guys want me to show you how I use my LUT, and I'll see you guys next time. Love you guys.